Everybody. I'm Meredith, and I'm with the Brahma Kumari's Facebook meditation site, where we've been doing interviews over the last few months with, I consider them to be special friends, people that are just doing wonderful work in the world, and people that we feel you should meet. So we're happy to be here tonight. I am very happy to be here tonight. In fact, this is quite beyond special for me, because this man that you're about to meet was actually very influential in my own work as a TV producer. Gustavo Sagastume he's internationally known as a producer of music all over the world, productions for public television and actually many other different venues. But before we get going, I just want you to see his work so you can better understand what Gustavo is all about.
Not always a winner. Remember what I'm about to say to you, okay? That America is gonna love you. So baby, hit that switch.
Known for its beauty, art, and architecture, St. Petersburg is one of Europe's most beautiful cities. Tonight, the Winter Palace comes alive in music and light for an unforgettable concert. Emin, one of Europe's most exciting new artists, is joined on the stage by the legendary music hitman David Foster.
Don't stop moving your body right. 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 Left alone with just a memory. Life seems dead and so unreal.
All that's left is loneliness. There's nothing left to feel.
I don't even know what to say after I watch that. It's like, wow. Yes, Gustavo Sagastume is with me. He was actually the general manager for quite a few years at WLRN Public Radio and Television, where I got to work with him. He was the boss. He was my boss. And we'll talk about that too, all that I learned from him over many years. But he is a world-class producer of these. They're not just musicals, as you could see. These are mega musicals. So Gustavo, it's so good to have you. And I'm happy you're still here in South Florida too. Because
thank you. I've never left. And, it's a wonderful place to work anywhere. Wherever you do your work, and it's so great to see you again and to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm just thrilled. And I did want to say that you're president of International Media, which is a production, marketing, and distribution company working worldwide. And that is what you are all about. And you have been all about this for many years, producing musicals, again, mega musicals all over the world. And I just wanted to start with, I think it's where you got your start, right? You were the producer of the Yanni special, the extravaganza. So can you tell me, I mean, I know that goes back a long time, but would you say that mega musical, music performance, I should say, which did air tons and tons of times on PBS, right? Over and over and over again. PBS did very well with that. Was that where you got your start producing such programs?
It really was. Yanni is a very talented artist, and he was unknown at the time. And the whole concept of a great location with a great artist connected to that location really worked. And that became for better, I think, for me at least, really the formula for countless specials all over the world in the most beautiful locations, with artists performing and being inspired by the landscape, by the culture, by the history of where they are, so that it's a special musical experience, that gets shared with the viewer or on television or digitally. And I have been privileged and blessed, to do this work. And I love it. I love the experiencing the cultures and the artists themselves. And it's been wonderful.
I know, and I know how much you've enjoyed it. I've always enjoyed talking to you because you always say, "Oh, I'm working on this right now, and I can't believe I'm doing this." So there's always this exuberance. It doesn't look easy to me, though. When I see a program like that, I know what it's like to do a program in the studio and what it takes, with the crew and everything. But when you're working on location in countries all over the world, there you were at the Acropolis or in St. Petersburg. Is it always a different challenge?
It is. And that's what the beauty of it, there's that part is not formulaic. It's always different culture, different ways of doing things, different people. You're working with local, crews and artists and lighting designers. And so you have to grow and you don't know how it's going to work. So it is challenging and it's a lot of work. You're right. I do a lot of work that is not as much fun, dealing with contracts and attorneys and insurance and, production crews and costs and logistics and all of that, visas, all of that is not fun, but necessary for that. There's that one magical moment, when the lights dim.
I thought it was all glamorous. I thought you hop on a plane, you fly to Greece or Italy, and it's just, wow. But you're saying that it really is a lot.
That would be like dessert without the meal. Yeah.
Let me ask you something, because again, you always, were excited about, or are excited because you're still doing these kinds of specials, but about whoever your newest artist is. How do you determine where you're going to put all this attention, and there's going to be all this money involved in saying, okay, I'm going to go with this artist? Because they're not all necessarily famous in America. In fact, many of them aren't, right?
Yeah, that has been my sort of my profession, to be sort of an international rainmaker at my best, when I can bring someone into the American market and have them succeed, like David, like the tenors, Celtic Woman, so many artists really that were not known. Andre Rieu, Jan, international artists that were not known in America, and then they come and they become famous and successful, and that's wonderful. Of course, not all of them do, but it's really the people have to believe in themselves first. The artists, God bless them, they put everything into it. They risk their lives, they mortgage their homes, whatever. The record companies are key, because if there's going to be no music support, then why do it? It's an expensive thing. So my job as executive producer is to bring all the interested parties together: the music distributor, the touring company, the production company, the artist management, and say, okay, we each have our own thing to do, but we can have a common mission on this one project, which is to do this splash, and we got to do it right, like an orchestra. And I get to be the conductor for that time. So we work, we plan, we do, and then we hit. But when we hit, there's months of planning. The tour is set up, the promotion for the music has been prepared, so that everything feeds and supports each other, so that you use that energy to support a marketing and artistic and promotional plan. And when it works, it's great. It just, it's like, and for me, that's my adrenaline. See that a show all of a sudden has, 300 broadcasts, 500 broadcasts, 1,000 broadcasts in America only. You know, I know that people have loved that artist. They're welcoming that artist, whether it's Celtic Woman or Celtic Man or you know, Bocelli or whatever. And you know, and that makes me happy.
I could just feel the happiness, that you experience just by hearing you say this. Do you know pretty quickly though, when I guess, you travel around or you get videos or whatever and you see the artist, do you have a hunch? And I'm thinking here you had David Foster on that program, and he's a legend in terms of, the music that he's produced, and he always seemed to know, what was going to make it in America, right? He just had that sense and that brilliance, and he was so beyond successful. So, do you usually have that feeling right away that this is going to make it, or are you ever not sure?
Well, now we're back to the world of probabilities, we were discussing before. It's about feeling like it could happen, because reality is something that we make, that we make jointly. So you can think work. You can first you have to buy into the artist's vision for how this can be artistically excellent, And comes my business or professional part, which is to say, as a programmer, is this what my audience tends to like? What are the elements that my audience tends to like? And then that's another factor. So then you go into it and you're rolling the dice. Nobody really knows until really the public savor it, and either they embrace it or they don't. And sometimes, things that you think, whoa, this has got all the elements to succeed, and then it does okay. And other times, there are things that are so humble that you think, oh, no, not in a million years. And then it just picks up like wildfire. And that's the beauty, of the human heart in art. It's a living thing. It's what works, what moves people at that time.
Beautifully said. I'm just wondering about your audience, the PBS audience, because that's where most of these shows have aired over the years. So if you're a PBS viewer, I hope you are. It's where I worked for many years in Miami. But the PBS viewer is absolutely different, aren't they? They're different from necessarily, commercial networks or anything.
Take more of a cultural and historical setting, for example. I've shot specials in the Forbidden City, the Great Tower of Shanghai, in French chateau, built by King Louis XIV. These are special places, and the PBS viewer is the most educated of the different markets, if you would. We tend to be older, more educated, and we're interested in culture and history. So when you bathe that, or you accept that and you build it into the performance, it becomes richer than just the sounds and the actual performance, because the performers themselves are affected by their setting.
So it's really more of an experience that you're saying. You like you say, you feel it. It just gets into your whole, into the soul. It really does. Some of these programs that you do, these kinds of programs. But you mentioned it's an older viewer, so I'm wondering how you were. I want to mention also that he went on after WLRN to be a vice president of programming for PBS National. So you've had a lot of experience now. Kind of, you were the producer, and then you go on and you make the decisions, right, about what's going to be programmed. So how has the PBS viewer changed over the last few years?
I think the PBS viewership has always been diverse. And that's part of its great success. That, for example, politically, I think it's basically the only network where Republicans and Democrats get along, because they don't feel that, content is one way or the other, or they feel that it's a very fair approach, that by people, and that's that has come with maturity. The public has not changed that much, in my view. It's us that become PBS viewers. I watch more PBS now than I did. I was vice president of programming. Well, more content, but I didn't sit at home watching PBS. Why? Partly because I'm older and I have a different interest. So it's more like the public is really growing into the PBS demo, which is 55 plus, slightly more female than male, more white than diverse. And I think we still have work to do on that end, but that's what it is, and it remains that.
So it hasn't changed very much over the years. Is it more people are looking for something different again than they are going to get on the commercial networks? It's just like a different way of thinking or a different something, that they are in search of, and that's what draws them to PBS.
It is,
Figure out what it is. It's just looking for something else than they see. But I love what you said about it can bring everyone together. The program
has, in some ways, for people like you who are such a great producer, and let me say also up front that I learned as much from you and from working together with you have from me. We had some wonderful, your approach to things, your professionalism and your humanism, both joined together, never in conflict. So I've learned many things from you as well. But PBS has been so you and I share a perspective on an industry. And let me say that in some ways, PBS has lucked in, because what I find is that while the rest of the media landscape has become more fractured, PBS demo has actually built up. So it's become sort of a refuge for many people that don't have to decide whether, what flavor they want their content to be. They feel like, well, maybe a little bland from time to time, but it's solid and it's trustworthy. And that's really, like the News Hour is one of my favorite news outlets now, because they're thoughtful, investigative, and they're not just another microphone sitting in front of the White House. And when you look at nature and history programming and so on, they do such a great job. So that's why it's maintained its funding, because Republicans and Democrats say, hey, don't touch our PBS. They have some good shows. They have great shows for the kids.
Yeah, so it's really all about trusting and knowing that something's good for you. I mean, that's how I see PBS, that you're getting programs that are good for your life. They're good for your children. They're good for your well-being is what they are. And which leads me to something else that I want to just say, is that you don't only produce musicals, though. I mean, that would be enough. You have produced many self-help programs for PBS, and I know I got to work with you on some of them, but a lot of self-help programs that people might not be aware. Tell me about a few of them that you've done.
Well, we worked with the writers of Chicken Soup for the Soul, which is, I think that people are always looking for ways to improve themselves. And I also produced talk about a show where, it was really produced on fumes, but there was such a need. It was called Tap, and it was about
It was called what? Could you repeat that? I didn't hear that.
It's called T-Tap, as in the letter T dash T-A. And it was just exercise, and it helped particularly women postmenopausal who are dealing with rapid changes in their hormonal and body and emotional lives. And they find that by doing certain forms of exercise that are really easy, they don't have to go to a gym if they don't feel comfortable with that. They can change their bodies, they can change their nutrition, they can change their chemistry and feel better. And, you know, that's such a beautiful American thing. When you think, I'm from Guatemala and I grew up in Massachusetts, as you know, and as I traveled around the world, I've learned that we take it for granted, but Americans truly are unique in their self-help approach. There's a Yankee thing that says that I can change myself, I can improve, I can do. And I don't know where that comes from, but it certainly is unique. Europeans aren't like that. Latins aren't like that. It's more American culture from way back. I think of you know, Thoreau and Emerson, the transcendentalist writers from the 1800s.
Of course, love them. Yeah.
They wanted to change the world, you know. They wanted to end slavery. They wanted to give women the vote. They wanted to have a better world, just like all young people do. But they have very different approaches. You know, Emerson wanted to change the laws. He felt that the government needed to be, society needed to change to accommodate, you know, these things. And Thoreau thought that what he needed to do was to change himself, to change his own self. So to me, that is so quintessentially American, you know, the sense that we can change ourselves and improve ourselves. That, you know, many other cultures are much more fatalistic, saying, I am the way I am, and that's how life is. Americans go, well, you know, maybe I could build it better. Maybe I could fashion this more beautifully for, you know, my husband or my wife or my girlfriend or myself, or maybe I can save some money doing it this way. So there's a sense that we can affect change in ourselves. That's what all those great self-help programs do.
I love it. I love hearing you say that. And I do believe that as people change, as Americans change, because they're the ones that, you know, are the ones that start watching these programs, then others change too. So it isn't just that we're going to be the only ones changing. All the other people in the world, you know, they will be affected by whatever it is Americans do. And that is true. You know, all the bad things people say about America, they're still influenced, you know, by
very much.
But so we have to give them the best of us, not the worst of us. Gustavo, I could talk with you forever. You're fascinating. I want to just say he's a wonderful man too. You know, to work with him is just was such a special part of my life. I'm going to say one more thing about you, that even you didn't have to live in fear. What if it doesn't work? What if the program doesn't work or it's not successful? Your attitude was always, we tried our best, and that's okay. Move on. So no fear, you know, about failure, which gave me a lot of self-confidence. It helped me in that department of self-confidence in my life and my work as a producer. And you're just a good, wonderful man. And I know you're always working on yourself too. I know that too, spiritually and philosophically. It's very easy for you to see that, right? And I thank you so much for joining me. Thanks so much. Good to see you, Gustavo. Take care.
Thank you, Meredith. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you.
Remember what I'm about to say to you, okay? That America is gonna love you.
Don't miss Emin live from Russia with David Foster.